Hello and welcome to the UFC 284 ticket and on-sale press conference. My name is David Shaw and I'm joined on stage by UFC featherweight champ and number 1 pound for pound Alexander Volkanovski and number 1 middleweight Rob Whittaker. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we've gathered on today, the Whadjuk of the Noongar Nation, and pay my respects to elders past and present. I would like to recognize the enjoyed and successful partnership between the UFC and Western Australian Government through Tourism Western Australia. I thank Deputy Premier Roger Cook as Minister for Tourism and Carolyn Turnbull as the MD for Tourism Western Australia for their continued support and commitment in making UFC 284 in Perth possible as UFC returns to Australia. I'd like to welcome representatives from the Combat Sports Commission of Western Australia, including Executive Officer Anthony Grover. All announced bouts for UFC 284 will be subject to the Commission's approval, and the event will be operated for standards outlined in the Combat Sports Act 1987. UFC 284, Makhachev versus Volkanovski will take place Sunday, February 12th at RAC Arena in Perth, Western Australia. Tickets go on sale to the public this Friday, November 18th at 10 a.m. Australian Western Standard Time via ticketek.com.au. UFC Fight Club pre-sale are on sale now via UFCFightClub.com. And special internet ticket pre-sale will be available to UFC newsletter subscribers tomorrow, Thursday, November 17th, starting at 10 a.m. AWST. To access this pre-sale, users may register at UFC.com/Perth. In celebration of UFC 284, UFC will hold a Q&A fan event with Alex and Rob this afternoon at Yagan Square at 5 p.m. This event is free and open to the public. I'd like to open up the floor now for questions for the two athletes to my right and left.
Alex, you've covered a lot of kilometres in the last few weeks or so, but what did you take from that experience of being the backup fighter for Oliveira and Islam a few weeks ago that you can put into practice in prep for 284?
Yeah, well, it was good. Like I got to sort of experience what it's going to be like February as well, right? So I got to go out there and sort of prepare for the guys and soak up a bit of that energy and things like that. So it was good. It was a great experience. So yeah, like you said, I've done some miles, doing what I had to do, but now it's get to work, get to business, right? So again, I got to feel it out, enjoy that process, but now time to work.
Does your prep differ preparing for a featherweight as opposed to a lightweight? What are the little changes I guess you've got to make to arrive on fight day in the best condition?
Well, for me, as I've been pretty vocal about, obviously having stuck on that little bit of weight and put on that little bit more muscle for the lightweight division, especially a guy like Islam, who's going to be a very strong grappler. So it's going to be definitely a different preparation, which excites me. This is why I wanted it, you know what I mean? And I didn't want any other fight but this. And the UFC gave it to me, so I'm very stoked for that, and I can't wait to make history here in Perth, February 12th.
Welcome back to Perth, Dave. So far, the card's looking fantastic for February 12th. 9 fights announced so far. 8 of 9 of those fights have an Australian representative to it. How many more fights can we expect at UFC 284?
Well, 5 on the main card and 4 in the late prelims, that's 9. We probably add another 3 or 4 to make sure that the early prelims are as packed as they can be. But you mentioned the right thing. I mean, we're coming back to Australia, to Perth, for the first time in 4 years. We're going to have a number of Australians. As it turns out, most of those Australians will be in the red corner as the higher ranked athletes. So we're excited. I think this is a testament to how far Australian mixed martial arts has come since 2010 with our first event in Sydney. And so not only will we have these notable guys competing, but we'll have a number of up-and-comers, some graduates from Contender Series, some guys that we've identified absolutely are future stars of the sport, not only here in Australia but globally.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is this already set a number of Australians for a UFC card?
That's a really good question. I don't know. It's probably quite far up there. I think we're definitely at an all-time high in terms of the number of Australians who are competing as contracted UFC athletes. And then when you think about, not only Alex, but other ranked fighters from ANZ, with Kai Kara-France and Israel and Rob and Ty and Tyson. The list goes on and on. You know, I really feel like all of the development, the commitment that's been put in place, not only on the athletic level, but from a commercial standpoint, building this business for so long, building this sport in Australia. Like, we recognize we're under, you know, intense and tremendous sporting competition with a number of codes that exist here in Australia. But the fans, I think, are as fervent and ardent as, you know, intellectually demanding. I think when it comes to fan base here in Australia, people are scrutinizing and they want to see the best, and that's what we're going to deliver next February.
You already mentioned that the card is looking pretty full, but the rumour from about 4 days ago, wondering if has got any leaks to it, with Henry Cejudo. He seemed to suggest on Twitter that he'd been sent a contract for this card in Perth against Aljamain Sterling for that bantamweight strap. Any leaks to that at all?
Not at the moment, nothing to report at this time. I think with the Yair and Emmett fight as the co-main event on this card, maybe Dana's looking to add Cejudo as well, I'm not sure, but for now we feel like we've got a pretty formidable card to deliver to the fans here.
Alex, what will it mean to you to be only the fourth person to hold 2 belts? You got one right there in front of you, 2 belts at the same time with the victory at UFC 284.
Oh, I mean the world right now. That's all I want right now. You know, a lot of people ask me, you know, what's the motivation for this? It's like, you know, I've accomplished some goals, and this is the next one. And you know, I want a challenge of moving up against someone like Islam or a heavier division, and then to get that extra belt. It's just, you know, you talk about legacy and things like that. It's, you know, it's going to be massive. You know what I mean? So that's something that I'm really looking forward to doing, and doing it here in Australia. You know, we're touching on, you know, the athletes we have on this side of the world is just incredible. You know, we can't even fill up the card with all of them. There's how many of them we got. So it's going to be good. Not only we're going to put on a show, I'm sure all the other Aussies are going to really put on a show and make it a historic event, so I cannot wait.
You've always said, and I always loved that, your mindset about you always have to be training harder in your mind than your opponent. Obviously, you're up against a very tough Islam Makhachev, so I know the weight cut will be easier for you, obviously going up, but do you expect it to be the hardest camp of your career, knowing how Islam trains?
It depends how you look at it. It's definitely going to be a lot of hard work going into it, but man, I'm excited for it. Bring it on. That's just where I'm at with this. I've said I'm raising the bar. I've always been disciplined. I've always trained hard enough. Everyone knows me that I'm always putting the work in, but this is different. This one is, there's a lot of other things that I want to work on and really focus on, and it starts now. I usually do an 8-week camp, and I'm going to start it, you know, from now, literally. So it's, yeah, it's probably going to be a lot harder than most of them, but for me, because of how much I want to do it, I want to get in there, I want to, you know, really get things going, it's going to be pretty easy just knowing how much I want this and how excited I am for this. So my mindset, my headspace right now is just on a whole nother level. So I think that's going to make this hard work that I plan on doing a lot easier. But mark my words, we're going to be doing the work. I'm going to give Islam the respect he deserves. He's a great grappler, great fighter, obviously heavy division, but that excites me. A lot of people, you know, this is a feared man. Islam's a feared man. A lot of people don't want to fight him, but I do. I want to go out there and show everyone that anything is possible, and with the right mindset, you know, the right camp, and you know, the right guy in front of no matter who it is, it can be done. So I can't wait to go out there and again, you know, make history and really prove them doubters wrong once again.
There's another fight on the card you'll have one eye on, the interim featherweight title, which is obviously yours. Yair Rodriguez and Josh Emmett. Dana White said not long ago that he was asked a question at a press conference, and he didn't think at the time that there would be an interim belt on the line. It's happening in Perth now. You've always been an active champion, so the decision surprised me a little bit. I'm glad we got the fight on the card, but what are your thoughts on the interim belt being obviously up for grabs, and your thoughts on the fight in general?
Oh, look, I'm okay with it. At the end of the day, I'm the champ, so that's that. So that gives me a clear guy. What a card to do it on. You know what I mean? They get to show me who's next in that featherweight division here in Australia as well. So you know that builds that fight up anyway. But I'm more than okay with it. Right now, I want to chase that second belt. So I'm focusing on that, and then we'll let them do their thing. Hopefully, put on a show, give me a clear guy, and then you know someone will be holding that interim belt. And I'll be happy to take them on as soon as possible because I want to be active. You know what I mean? And I don't want people waiting around for me and things like that. Even though I don't think that they would need to, but I think this is good. I think this really sets up for my next fight featherweight anyway. So I'm more than okay with it.
Thanks, Alex. Question for Robert Whittaker, the Reaper. Hello. Now, obviously, you said leading up to this you owe Perth a fight. Obviously, you were supposed to be main event of UFC 221 back in 2019. Tell us your thoughts. Obviously, fighting a guy like Paulo Costa, because you've already earned the title shot, but you're putting a lot on the line. You're just leaving no doubt with a win over a guy like that.
I guess, so firstly and foremost, I'm very happy to be able to come back to Perth and to be able to give them the fight I should have given them years ago. It's one of those things that just makes everything sweeter. I'm ticking it off the list of things to do. As for Costa, I understood that if I waited till November to see who would come out on top, that I could possibly wait out a title shot. The thing is, in doing that, I've done that before. I just end up sitting on the bench for so long, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of waiting. I just want to get in there. I want to fight. The fact that it's in Perth is even better. It's an Australian card. It's only a hop and a skip from where I live. So I'm really looking forward to getting there and giving a good showing.
Well, you're in a tricky spot now because with what happened with Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira on the weekend, you're the clear number one contender. Do you find yourself, even with a good win over Costa, do you fear that you might be in a holding pattern again because Israel Adesanya is obviously might be chasing that immediate rematch with Pereira?
I'm not too worried about it. It's they're things out of my control. I can't really do anything about. And to be fair, I really do have to focus on Costa. Big boy hits very hard. So I'm gonna go in there. I feel like if I look past him and start preparing for events and possible fights past Costa, I'm not giving Costa the severity I should be, the respect I should be. So, all my eyes and attention and focus is just on trying to put him away.
Dave, just another question based on Jack Della Maddalena. He fights in Vegas on Sunday. He goes into that fight as a pretty warm favourite against a veteran in Danny Roberts. So do you feel like this is a bit of a risk for him? Because obviously his eyes will be on this Perth hometown card, being currently the only UFC fighter from Perth.
Yeah, a couple things. He's run into a couple pretty impressive opponents thus far, and I think he's won by TKO in both cases. Is he taking on risk? I think it's probably the same approach. Tough for me to talk about what's going through an athlete's mind, but he's probably taking the same approach as Rob, which is, looking to stay active, looking to have good competition, looking to increase his rankings. And so when it comes to Jack Della, I think he's been pretty public about wanting to compete in Perth. Who wouldn't? And I guess we're just gonna have to see what happens in his next bout. But sometimes there's a fight that's put in front of you by Dana, Hunter, Sean, and Mick, and it's you take it, do your best, and you move on.
With the win, do you expect him to be on this Perth card after Sunday?
Tough for me to comment. I know that there are some slots still available on this card, but a lot of thought always goes in, a lot of creativity always goes into the construction of these cards by all the aforementioned matchmakers. So I'm sure they're thinking about whether to place him on this card if he wins.
Just a couple more from me before I stop hogging the mic.
Yeah, share the mic with me.
Just a couple more, Perth. You aware of obviously the talent that you're close to signing with the UFC? We've got another kid from Perth in Stephen Astro Boy Ursek, who a lot of people believe are UFC ready. Another one is Cody Haddon as well. We come through the Eternal MMA product. So, do you think that? What do you think of those guys coming up, and how close are they? Do you think to UFC?
So a bit outside of the my domain expertise. I think when it comes to the scouting, the development of athletes outside of UFC, all that work goes into the matchmakers led by Dana. I can tell you one thing: what we do internationally, what we do all around the world, is making sure that we are partners with and support of a variety of different other mixed martial arts promotions. It's important for us to have a pathway of excellence so that young competitors at the early stages of their careers know which way to go if they want to get to the UFC. And in this country, where you mentioned Eternal as UFC Fight Pass partner, close to us, ongoing and open lines of communication with Sean and Mick. I know these guys have their eyes on talent who have risen to the top in those respective MMA promotions, and if you perform well in those promotions, you get an opportunity to compete at the UFC. So we'll leave that to them, but I know that these guys, especially Mick, being an Australian, I know he's got his eyes on all the best talent in the country.
Just one more. There's no female fight. Yeah, one more. There's actually hasn't been a female fight in Perth yet. There wasn't in 2019, and not one named yet for this card. So a little bit of an idea. We'd probably like to see some female talent on this card as well.
You're coming up with all the best ideas today.
I'll stop taking the mic now, Dave.
Hey Alex, how you doing, mate? Very good. Obviously, you spoke about the prep going up to lightweight. How much does it change, though, actually being in Australia and not having to travel internationally?
That always helps. It definitely helps. Obviously, we have a process, and I'll adapt to whatever situation I am in. But I mean, it's going to be much better to do all that. A lot of the promotional things around it's going to be here in Australia. So it's going to be much better. But again, I don't plan on running around too much from here now. I get to work and then do what I need to do. So preparation is going to be awesome, and I'm excited. Like I said, it's going to be a longer camp than I usually prepare in, but I'm excited for it. Cannot wait.
I know you're obviously focused on the two divisions you're in, but Jack Della was also just mentioned. We're massively excited over here about him. What do you sort of see in his future? Have you seen much of his fights, and what sort of fighter do you see him being?
Yeah, well, I wanted to touch on that. Like when you were talking about him, he's a durable, very, very good athlete. He's an incredible fighter, and I think he's going to do work, and then he'll be more than okay to step in Perth. So I believe that he'll be here doing his thing, and he deserves to be obviously on a card like this, especially here in his hometown, right? So again, he's the type of guy that could, as Dave mentioned, he's wants to be active. He's doing what he has to do, and the UFC loves that. Everyone loves that, and good on him. And I think he'll be more than okay to come over here. So obviously, if there's any injuries, but I said he's durable, he's tough, he'll be alright. So he'll be here, I reckon.
When you do a camp like this, how obviously you go to Vegas probably a bit earlier. How sort of long do you stay in Perth before a fight?
I like to stick to the same routine that I usually do, so I'll be a week out. Like usually go a week out and adjust the times and all that type of stuff, and then it's fight week. Just go and get in that 5 week headspace type thing. So I'll be in here I'll do the exact same thing that I usually do, no matter where I'm in the world. So I'll be here a week out and soaking up this beautiful place in Perth.
It might sound silly, but is there any difference fighting in the daytime as opposed to at night?
Oh mate, I love it. It's unreal, especially when we're over there. It's pretty late, what I mean? It's very late, By the time you fight and get everything done, it's like, early in the morning. So to be able to get that all out of the way during the day and enjoy a few drinks straight afterwards, it's pretty good.
And Rob, you've been so excited about coming back to Perth. What is it about here that you're just so excited about coming back for?
Oh, mate, I think Perth is one of those places, and this is just how I feel, right? Perth is one of those places I forget how much I like it until I come back. Like it seems that to be the case every time. And in the two people that I've interacted with here, they have been absolutely lovely to deal with, and I think the people are what make Perth so good.
What do you think it would be like fighting in front of so many Aussie fans who are so excited just to have a card back in Australia, let alone in Perth?
Yeah, I cannot wait. And the icing on top of the cake is that it's a fight I owe them anyway. And I do feel like I owe Perth a fight. So it's just an extra little bit of something special. But as Alex said as well, fighting during the day is a big change as well. I hate fighting at night. I'm just so sleepy. I'm like 5 p.m. I'm starting to wind down. Put on my pajamas. You know what I mean? Like slowing things down. So these like midnight fights are an absolute nightmare. I have to have about 700 coffees just to stay with it. So the fact that we can, wrap this up by midday sounds absolutely excellent.
And for yourself, you led the way for so many Australians. Do you feel so proud looking down that card, seeing so many Australians? We're going to go like, yes, again, Jack from over here, competing. You've just led the way. Do you feel like a proud dad almost of all the Australian fighters?
Definitely. As it was touched on earlier as well, just like how far Australian mixed martial arts has come, especially like oceanic mixed martial arts in general. We are filling out an entire numbered card, you know, a pay-per-view event. That is a massive event. It is a huge achievement in the mixed martial arts scene in Australia, and I'm so proud to be one of the guys that was there during its conception, sort of, to see it come to what it is, to see not only the amount of athletes that we have, but the level of athletes that we have. From top to bottom, we have new guys coming up, and we have guys leading the way, holding belts. It is amazing to see.
Do you, Rob, staying with you, do you see those Aussie guys, is it a different mindset? Like watching fights, they all seem to talk about that level. Like, all the guys are incredible. Is it an oceanic mindset that's like, what is it?
I think, and I may be biased here, but I think Australians, we've always loved fighting. We love our sports, we always have. But honestly, I can see it in a lot of the guys that at the top of the chart, and a lot of the guys getting the wins they are, and the adversity that they fight, we have a dig. They have a dig, and you can see it in a lot of the fights that they come up against adversity. They push back, and I love seeing it. Granted, I may be biased, but it is great to see. You know, a lot of heart in these young fellas.
What did you think of last weekend's fight at Santa Piera? What were your thoughts on the fight?
You know, I wanted to come up here and just be like, haha, you know what I mean? But I told Alex earlier, for one, Izzy's growing on me, okay? For whatever reason, I think the amount of research and stuff that I've done into him has made me actually start to like him. But two, it was such a stellar performance. I would be belittling it, trying to take any jabs at it. I think it was a stellar performance between two super high-level athletes, and they should both be proud of themselves.
On face value, you look like you'd be a good matchup for the title there against Barrett. Would you like that fight?
Yeah, as I said before, I'm not planning past Costa, but I can say that I think Pereira is a better matchup for me than Israel, just because of the way he stands and the way he likes to push forward, the way he likes to fight. I feel gives me a better edge. But in saying that, did you see the size of the fella? Why is nobody mentioning that? Dude's just giant. He's an absolute giant. Like, because I've been face to face with Israel, and it's surprising to see. Like, Israel's pretty big. He looks tall and lanky, but he's actually a big dude. And then you see Pereira up against him, and just his facial features are bigger. His feet and hands and forearms are massive. I'm just thinking, like, who let this guy in? But still, you know, I think I can take it.
So, Alex is talking about big fellas. He's stepping up a class. How do you see the division? What's your thoughts on it all? You're going straight to the top with Islam.
Yeah. Well, I'm used to everyone being bigger than me, so it's all right. So that's no surprise there. But yeah, man. Like again, this is what excites me, man. This is what I want. I'm glad the featherweights are giving me a clear guy, because right now I felt like that just wasn't enough. This championship thing, this Islam fight really gets me out of bed. You know, really excites me. So yeah, man, I'm excited for the challenge. You know what I mean? And I think people need to understand. Like, you get a lot of people, like, it's like does anyone challenge themselves or what? Like you know, I'm surprised the way people talk about it. For me, I was like, that's what fires me up. I need this. You know, this is going to make me such a stronger human being, mentally and physically. I can't wait to see the fighter I am at the end of this camp. You know what I mean? Because my mindset right now, oh man, I'm hungry. This is the. It's funny. I've been talking about how I always thought I was fired up for some of the featherweight fights, and now I realise how much I wasn't. You know what I mean? Because this is just a whole nother level. So it's very exciting, and again, you know, a lot of respect to Islam. He's no joke, but I'm gonna show you what short people can do.
Last one. Spent some time in America. Were you training with anyone different, or you just there for?
Oh yeah, no, we did. So Craig Jones was over there, so I did some training with Craig Jones, and obviously Hickman Bros Wrestling from Bang Tao over there. MMA. We did some wrestling over there, but we're going to be pretty much getting all these guys coming to our gym this week. You know, I mean, the week coming. So like, again, I'm taking this one serious. We're going to spend a lot of money into this one, and yeah, mark my words, you're going to see a firing short monster February 12th. So I can't wait.
Real, thanks, man.
And Alex, just in terms of you mentioned earlier to put on extra muscle and weight there. What challenges has that posed, and what specifically have you done to try to get
I won't
that?
say challenge, eating a lot. I mean, Rob talking about it before, like eating a lot, it's not a challenge, it's quite fun. No, but it's, yeah, obviously, just right now, again, the diet's it's important diet. It's not just eating anything, you still need to eat the right foods and strength programs and all that type of stuff. Again, I'm not just trying to get just big for the sake of it. It needs to be all explosive muscle, the right muscles, everything needs to be, proper. So I've got my coach is Chris Jaffrey from Baymed, and the fight dietitian who are really going down to the science in this one and making sure we're doing this properly. And again, just taking everything serious, because I didn't really, even for featherweight, I was just, yeah, whatever, I was okay with that. But now, I'm going to probably sit around close to the same weight, because believe it or not, I'm still about 78, 79 kilograms right now. I want to sit around that weight, but I want to turn as much of that weight into muscle and obviously lean out. So, the weight might fluctuate a little bit, but I want to sit around the same weight. I don't want to go too crazy, too big, because again, I need to fight in featherweight as well, because I do want to be active in both divisions. I'm not lying about that. If anyone can do it, I believe that's me. And again, I just got to focus on this champ status. Again, big fight, cannot wait for it, and I'm glad I get to do it here in Australia.
And Rob, there was video of you just reacting to the knockout blow a few days ago. It seemed like there was a lot on your mind at that moment in time. Can you just run us through your initial reactions at that point?
I was just looking at that fight, and it was a great fight, but I was just looking at it thinking like, man, these guys are so tall. So tall. Look at the range on them. No, it was a great fight. There was a lot of adversity, Pereira almost got finished in the first round. Izzy came in with a ton of confidence in the second, third, started waning as Pereira obviously wasn't going anywhere. And then, yeah, I don't know, it was a great fight. This is why I find it hard to watch middleweight fights, because I'm always kind of sizing up everybody. It makes the fights no fun. So the whole time I was watching, I was like, I'm faster than him, or I could do that, different things like that. But yeah, it was just a great fight. They're great fighters.
All right, well, thanks everybody for your attendance today. We're looking forward to seeing you in February. Take care.